stand. We're going to have a pledge and a prayer. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Remain standing. Lord, we thank you for this time that we have together tonight to celebrate our students and their achievements and to make sound decisions for the district as we move forward. We ask for your continued watch, care, and protection over all of our staff and students as we get into spring break, and then towards the end of the year, we ask you for just a good end to the school year. And we thank you for your many blessings. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
And we will officially call our meeting to order, and the first thing on our agenda are some Cobra Pride Awards. So, who do I have here that's going to do band?
Miss Love's right here.
You're going to do those.
Yes, ma'am.
Come on up.
You got help.
And you got
With a couple
help.
assistants.
Yes.
All right, right here.
Okay.
All right.
You going to help?
Wait, wait, wait.
You can, yeah.
All right.
So,
Before I recognize individuals here today, I wanted to congratulate the high school and 8th grade bands on their performance at concert assessment this week. The high school band received a unanimous superior rating on stage and an excellent rating in sight reading. And the 8th grade band received 1 superior rating and 2 excellent ratings on stage, as well as a superior in sight reading. So if you see any of these students on campus, please congratulate them. They've worked so hard. Concert assessment is performed at Lake Hamilton in front of 3 judges, and they get rated from 1 to 5, 1 being the best, or what we call superior. So the high school band on stage got the best rating you could possibly get on stage, so congratulations. If I could ask my band students to come forward, please, if stand to the left of me. The individuals before you have earned what we call the Big 3 Award. Each student before you auditioned / qualified and or earned a spot in the following honor bands. Region 2, all region band. They competed against various schools such as Lake Hamilton and Lakeside for a spot in 1 of 2 all region bands. These students in front of you scored high enough in their auditions that they qualified for All-State. 3 qualified for All-State, which just being qualified to audition is a huge honor, and 1 was selected for the All-State Symphonic Band. That was Lexi Bellamy. She will not be here today. These students competed not only against from our region again, but they competed against students from across the entire state. The last honor band that all 3 of them actually are also in, as well as Lexi Bellamy. I believe Lexi and Annabelle, you got first band, first chair, which is the highest chair they can get in that honor band. So technically in All-Star, they are the best musicians in their respective instruments. They competed against an All-Star. You compete against schools the classification 4A or smaller for a spot in 1 band versus All-State, which is 3 bands. Here are the following individuals. All right, first we have Lexi Bellamy. I will accept her award. Think I got it? If you guys could grab your awards and show them off once I call your name. Paul Combs, Annabelle Kramarenko, and Rylan Kramarenko. Please join me in congratulations. And I'll hold Lexi's right here, attention's here.
and we'll actually get y'all to move over this way.
All right.
So that we can just kind of stand here in front of this. And we will get your photo. I'll have to scoot over just a little bit there, squeeze in. That way Hayden can get everybody in the photo.
Are you ready? On three.
Yep.
1, 2, 3.
Got your hands full.
Good job.
So then you get some help.
Congratulations.
He's going back.
You just did that amazing thing with both of your eyes. Those are
Thank
awesome.
you.
Thank you so much, everybody.
Yeah, I always like hearing band awards. Awesome, now we're gonna do some special Olympics awards for our bowling team.
Yes, bowling team. I've been doing this for a couple of years now, but this is the first year that I got to move up to high school, and I recruited more students, and the 4 that won state were last minute decision. I had somebody drop out, and they're, yes ma'am, what do I need to do? So they stepped in and were amazing. So I'm pretty proud of them. We bowled in October, and my team was the only one to get 5 strikes in our game, which qualified us for state. And then we went to state on February the 8th and blew them out, everybody else on the water, with a score of 247, I believe. And the closest was 205.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I'm amazed. John Starnes is my top bowler. He just said, and he's been bowling ever since. He said, I'm going to do this, and
He was a fill-in? Was he one of your fill-ins?
No, Seth Cole was.
Okay.
Yes.
So those, they need to be
Come on,
permanent. Permanent,
James.
not a fill-in, they need to be permanent.
And this is our hardware. Our plaque, Coach Rhodes and East are gonna engrave the plaque for them. I like to get
nice.
school involvement, so,
Yeah.
that's why the plaques, their names are missing, but that we'll have that in a few weeks, hopefully, so. Pretty proud of them, and we wanted to present them with the Cobra Pride Award. So we have Seth Cole that's not here. And then Jonathan Starnes.
Awesome.
Balin Alford had to work.
Okay.
And then James Spears.
Yeah, you want to just
Yeah,
step on
there.
each side up there?
Let's see if we can do it.
Stars, get your trophies. Get
So
the
you
trophy,
can,
get the trophy.
maybe they can get in the back there, y'all can stand on either side of your trophy. Yeah,
like
just
that.
stand like
Just
that.
stand right
See
there.
if
You go.
Hayden can get us all in there.
Make sure you can see it. All right. There you go.
Ready? 1, 2, 3. All right, very good.
Got it.
Thank you.
Congratulations,
Good job,
guys.
guys.
Good job, guys.
Amazing. Impressive. It's like the biggest trophy I've seen in a while. Yeah, that's amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job. Do we have an FLAA presentation?
Yes. Yep, there they are.
Come on, Todd.
Make me look good.
You're both doing it.
Break protocol comes in front of class.
Come to
There
the
you
front,
go.
we're great with that.
Since my hardware's up here in front of class.
Yeah.
Anyway, Madam President, Board, and Mr. Landry, Dr. Murphy, yes, I appreciate the opportunity to represent the Fountain Lake Alumni Association, Ms. Sarzo, President, Ms. Irwin, Vice President, and Jay. Treasurer's not able to be with us today, but appreciate the opportunity to visit with you. I'm a high school graduate here, 1977. My wife Donnie's a 1974 graduate. We're having their 50th year celebration this summer with all school reunion and everything. Between us, we've had families. She's the first generation. I'm first generation. We've now got third generation grandkids in the school, nephews, greats, and maybe a great nephew coming in a couple of years. But anyway, we've been here 8 decades, 2 centuries. We just love the purple belt. Now, get on with that.
I love
But
it.
we, at the Fountain Lake Alumni Association, one of our charter goals is to ensure that the history and legacy of Fountain Lake continues throughout the decades. In March 23, Dr. Murphy and Athletic Director Matt Carter, the FLAA, I noticed there was a flagpole up on Cobra Field. United States flag was up, Arkansas flag was up, the third pole was void. So we kind of turned around and we kind of got together and with those folks, and we've got a flag now that's up on Cobra Field. It's a contemporary design flag. It's the Cobra that you'll see on your outerwear there, or on your
Our brand,
or
if
your
you
brand. And we were able to design that. We were able to work with the East and a student that created that here, and we were able to get the association to fund it. And I was able to hoist that up at pregame activities at homecoming this last fall. I'm the oldest living football player in Fountain Lake history. So I got the honor to do that. I'm also the only football player that don't know what it is to win a football game. We're the only team to go 10-0 when I was oldest of the season. But anyway, so we filled this void. And then it led to a second design, a second flag right behind us in Legacy Park with the traditional original Cobra on it, so you'll see that. And so we made that dedication last summer. Then there had to be a third flag. And we wanted this to symbolize the Cobra history for everyone to see. So Donnie and I put our heads together in FLAA, and Chip Culpepper, Mark Culpepper, both graduates, and myself, we designed the original Cobra, went back and dug it all out. We used all our computer hardware that we could find and designed what we thought was the best original Cobra we could. I went ahead and we went ahead and framed it. Hobby Lobby framed it for us and everything. And Donnie and I, being great Cobra fans, we gifted this to the Fountain Lake Alumni Association. So as representatives of the Fountain Lake Alumni Association, we would like to gift this to Fountain Lake Board of Directors and hopefully Fountain Lake School District with the suggestion that it be hung in the auditorium by the first graduating class. So that is our reason for being here today. And we want to donate this to you, Miss Dana,
Oh, wow.
to go in Sargo Auditorium.
Wow, look at that. That is amazing.
Because there's nothing, a lot of times there's things that on campus that don't jump out for our younger generations to even see something this old as me or this. And so anyway, we don't want to, so we just not associated. A lot of work and a lot of effort went into
That's so
the colors and
1930
the palettes.
was the first graduating
Founding
class.
of Fountain Lake School.
Do you want it near the first class?
It's a
over there?
suggestion, it's a
Yeah.
suggestion.
Okay.
It's a
We love
suggestion.
that.
Okay. So
We're
that
gonna give
is-
y'all a hand
Thank you.
I had a picture by Hayden, and that's all I need.
for the. Yeah, come on, Hayden.
Since I don't have my
Yeah, so
drone
send
with
it-
me, Hayden.
Can we get in there?
Yeah.
Let
Okay.
them
Okay, hang on.
unveil
Unveil
it.
So the more the merrier, yes.
Yeah, Corey's gonna help.
Unveil.
Oh, Mr. George. Oh. So, bearded guy's got
Okay, hold it up there. Y'all stand on either, there we go.
There we go.
Oh, wow. Don't cover your faces though. Hayden wants to see y'all.
There you go.
All right, ready? 1, 2, 3. Very good.
There you go.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Thank you all very much for letting us come today.
Thank you.
Oh,
Thank you.
that is
Right
Here
beautiful.
again, yes, sir. You got me.
Thank y'all for coming and doing that. That's awesome. Wow, it will be hung very shortly.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Like pronto. That's a great thing. Okay. That was some good stuff there. All right, so the next thing on our agenda are the consent agenda items. Consists of the minutes from previous meetings, the bills, the additional, we have a consulting agreement with Sarah Inman, and this is for some additional hours. There's also a 3-year, we do this every 3 years, we agree to have First Security be our financial advisor. If there is a need to talk about some of this, we can move it with group consent. We could move it down to new business. Because Brian's giving me a look like.
Oh, no.
Do you
looking
need
at
to
you.
discuss some?
No,
Okay.
we're good.
Okay. So if there's not any need to discuss, we will consider all those approved by unanimous consent. And we will move into the superintendent's update. And first up would be Ms. Curry with the elementary monthly report.
Okay.
You're up.
Yes, thank you.
Hi. I feel like we haven't seen you in a while.
So we have our February iStation data on here. Now that's quite a lot of pictures, but if you'll just focus on all of our lines are trending upward out of our red into the green. So we've been showing really steady growth, very proud of that. We do take that monthly. And so at Christmas time, we were hovering right about the 10% growth and our goal was 20. So just really proud of our teams in literacy and math just to continue that growth upward with all of their kids in their classes. So
Yeah. I like those trend lines.
our instructional focus currently is we're really focusing on our writing instruction. We have new Atlas rubrics that came from the state for all of our grade levels. Different fluency in the classrooms and reading comprehension. And actually tomorrow and Wednesday, our 3rd and 4th grade take their Atlas writing summative assessment. So we'll get tomorrow will be our first day with that. So we're very confident that they will do well. They did the pilot one, so having good thoughts about that.
Good.
Mental health, we're running 15.8% on that. Our staff and student attendance is trending pretty well. Staff attendance is really great. Student attendance pretty comparable to what they have been in the past. Our referrals, I would say they're down a little bit, but they're pretty consistent to what they have been. And then we have our upcoming Cobra Parent Partners meeting, which we are moving to the week after spring break. It was originally scheduled for this Wednesday, but we're having the Atlas writing summative. And so just wanted to be present in the hallways for that with our kiddos. So we're gonna move that to the week after. And we will be going over our parent survey results. So we've been having pretty good attendance there, anywhere from 10 to 15 parents. So
Good.
still hoping to increase that, but it's been very good.
Did you get some good surveys? Like you're going to talk about the survey results. Did you have good
Yes.
participation in your survey?
We actually did. Yeah, we had quite a bit. I would say we had a couple hundred answers within, a couple hours. So
Okay, good.
yeah, it was sent out once with not a lot of results, and we sent it out through our PBIS app. So we're
Okay,
excited
good.
to kind of go over that. But
Good.
yeah.
Are you having a lot of participation with the coffee with the principal? I meant to ask her.
Well, I was gonna say, there's been about 10 to 15 each time, and last time we had 7 or 8 join virtually, because we do it Google Meet as well. So if they're at work or something, they can just kind of turn it on and listen in. So it's been getting more every month. We do have our consistent 7 or 8 that kind of come every time, but
But it's gaining some traction.
It is,
I mean,
yeah.
it takes time to kind of get that word of mouth out,
yeah, so been real pleased with that, so.
Good. All
Before
right.
you move to the next report, I had the pleasure of taking Mr. Landry and also Mr. Campbell, and we worked our way over to the auditorium on Mr. Landry's first day as an employee at the Fountain Lake District, and a very special time when we saw our kids engaged the way they were. We had PBIS awards, and they organized a talent show that was off the wall.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know if the board heard about all the activities. The one thing I can tell you about our teachers are willing to put themselves out there for our kids.
Yep.
And by doing that, our kids had a ball, and we left there to be very proud to be leaders of this school district. So
Our teachers
I thank
performed
you
the
to
talent
the
show
elementary staff
for the
for
kids.
doing that.
The teacher
So,
talent show.
Yeah, teacher talent show.
Who won?
Well, we had student judges and we had some staff judges. It was very difficult, but
We won 4.
we do not want to, the administration
Our kindergarten.
tried, but they didn't win.
It's okay.
But,
The
who
kindergarten
it
team.
wasn't Mr. Martinez.
The kindergarten team.
The kindergarten
Yes,
team
they did.
ended up being voted.
They had a little skit on how to get ready
Was
for
it
school.
Martinez first and kindergarten?
Or
team
Martinez
second?
was first, Kinder was
Yes.
second.
Is it on video? Can we catch it on the World Wide Web?
I do have a recording.
Yes, there is, and you would want to take, it's worth your time to watch it.
It is almost an hour.
Slide that in the minutes.
You can literally,
You should have
Where is
attached
this
the link
video?
in your report.
By now I'm getting texts from the teachers.
It's not in the report for a reason, I promise you.
Where
I'm
is the
bringing
video?
it to the group.
Where's the video?
On her phone.
Well, no, I have a recording on my computer. Yes,
And I'm
I
very
can share
proud
it
of
out.
them.
I think that's
Kids
nice.
really they had a really good time. And it was,
Good. And it was fun. I heard it. So, good. Thanks for adding that. She didn't include
She
that in
wasn't,
there.
I waited to see if she
She
was
wasn't
gonna
gonna talk
mention
about
it.
that.
And I wasn't gonna go ahead and say that she
I'll
was,
share it out.
Islama
Llama,
Llama.
llama.
All right,
Rapping.
all right.
Oh, no, Miss Freeman is watching, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. Good report. Thank you for that information. And we're gonna move to the middle school, and Mr. Freeman's gonna give us that update.
Yes, so if you look up there at the building goals, our focus this month, excuse me, last month was continuing to do character development with our students through our Character Strong program, and that's really paying strong dividends. When you look down there at the discipline referrals, we're right now trending to show a decrease for this year for discipline referrals, which goes to our second bullying goal, which is to reduce them by 15% this year, and we are right now on track to not only meet that but exceed that. As far as math proficiency, through Mastery Connect, I'll share that a little bit later in the report. Our next Mastery Connect data collection is going to be the week following spring break. And I'll talk about that in a second. If you look at the discipline reports, you can see we had the 106 for the month of February. You see the minor and major breakdown, bus referrals. I'm not sure what happened in February on buses, but we had but we've only had 53 bus referrals the whole year, and almost half of them came in February. So I'm not real sure what happened on the bus, but we're working with the transportation department to get that under control. And we are communicating really well with the bus drivers to make sure that those kids that can handle it aren't on it. You'll see the mental health looks at 23%, special ed meetings about 25%. The student attendance rate is about 91. We had a lot of sickness in February with the flu going around, but to our credit, our staff really stepped up. We talked a lot in our building about how important it was for those kids when they come back to see a familiar face that they know and have a relationship with. And so the staff really stepped up during the month of February with a 99% attendance rate. On instructional focuses, you'll see we're continuing to work with implementing our Amplify and Reveal Math in 5th grade, which is our literacy and math curriculum. And we're continuing to work with doing our Tier 1 intervention. And that we have really brought a lot of people on time. We have really freed up teachers to be able to do that RTI in a really meaningful way. The Atlas testing, we actually did the Atlas testing writing last week, and we finished up today with some of the kids who weren't here during that time. And then we have commissioned our literacy team, our PLC team within the middle school to go through and develop a common writing rubric that we can use across grade levels, not just within a specific grade level, but building wide, so that the kids are hearing a common language year after year and they have a common format that they can utilize. And we're hoping that that's also going to help impact our Atlas writing scores. As far as upcoming activities, we have the big Cobra Expo tomorrow night. Hope everybody comes and joins us for that. We have a guest speaker that's been arranged through our counselor and Miss Harrell at the Cobra Clinic. It's going to be do a vapor awareness program here on site on Wednesday, and they have a big, huge event that's going to be occurring at Jessieville on the same topic, just geared more towards parents. And then we have our PBS reward on this coming Friday before spring break. It's not a talent show for teachers, but we do have a professional musician that's come in for the kids. And this is for those kids who have shown good behavior during the month of February and have exemplified true COVID spirit. So we're really excited about that and looking forward to it. And of course, we connected in. I mentioned there the third quarter Mastery Connect benchmark is going to be the week of the 25th when we come back. At the bottom right here, this is actually the data from last month. We won't have any new building-wide data to share until we do that Mastery Connect testing. So we will have that data to share with you guys for the next board report.
And looking at that graph, do you feel like, I'm trying to read it really quick. Okay, I may have some questions about that, but I can ask after the meeting.
Yeah, so
Just so I can understand it.
Yeah, if you look across the bottom, you'll see the 8 indicates the grade level. The first number is the grade level, and then the second part is the second number. That is the goal thing, and we did shift the percentage of kids that were not ready. We decreased that number. So we've shown growth in it. We've decreased the number of kids that aren't ready.
Okay.
But we are still not in the exemplary proficient where we want to be. So that's our goal now, is to move into that area.
Okay.
So in a correlation of that, they're at the core of our assessment program. We'll have 2 barometers depending on the new accountability system for grading, but you can either do growth or achievement. We need more kids in the proficient and exemplary to meet relative
Yes.
to achievement. It kind of goes back to getting them with the on grade level curriculum. If we are teaching on grade level and in the area of the assessments, we've got too many kids that are either emerging or not meeting.
Yeah. Okay. Any questions for middle school? Thank you, Mr. Freeman. And Mr. J, let's do a high school report.
All right. Much like the other 2 buildings, you see our attendance up there overall for our student body, 91.6, staff at 93%. This is the time of the year I've emailed several of our seniors the nasty little letter that says you're about to lose credit because your attendance is way too high. Seen a few more faces the last few days since I've sent some of those emails. We do have a meeting tomorrow with juniors and seniors, so that'll be one of the things we need to talk to them about. They're this close to the goal line, they need to be here to finish.
Yeah.
Our building goals haven't changed. I did put in a kind of a comparison chart for you to look at what we do with MAP and a predicted score for ACT. Mr. Campbell, I know you're kind of driving that. If you'll click on 11 reading. So the 11th graders, what you're seeing is their RIT score is the highlighted column. What's in the second column, or column D, is their predicted ACT score. So our objective at this point in time is to take, our juniors will take the ACT as their state assessment on the 26th of March, right after spring break. So we'd like to take those scores, put them in here, and actually have a comparison.
Okay.
Now, we have gone through with the advisors, so our advisors have shared the information with their RIT score to the predictability of what their score might be. So it's not like we're hiding anything. We've started with the 9th grade. Those teachers have been talking to them, kind of giving them predictability of, if you were to take an ACT, this is the score you might come up with based on that information.
Okay.
Okay?
Overall, or that subject?
It would be in that subject.
Yeah, reading
So,
subject.
yeah, this one would be reading, and then we have math.
That's what I'm.
Yeah. So we know, like in math, I know I got 27 students at a 19 or better. So once again, in Arkansas, 18 is usually the minimum requirement to get into college. We'd like our kids to go, if they're going to go to that secondary university or local college, we'd like them not to have to take remedial courses. That's our ultimate goal. But this kind of gives them some predictability, and then our juniors will actually take the MAP again at the first part of May. Once again, if they sit down and give us their best assessment, we get a good comparison. If they sit down and just kind of click and go through, then it's not a real good assessment for us. We're trying to give them some hard data so they understand kind of where they sit right now. Had several kids from last year walked in, took the ACT as part of the state assessment, go, okay, you know, now what? Well, they came back as seniors going, hey, I think I want to go to school. And we're going, well, that 12 you got on the ACT last year is not going to help.
Yeah.
And now they're trying to figure out what they can do to improve their score overall. So we've got some things that we're working in some classes, working on ACT prep, ACT work keys, and after that we're going to have a long list of activities and events that are about to come your way. I do want to highlight two things right up here. Students of the month for February are freshmen, Helen Millard, Tucker Sears, sophomores Megan Tillery, Dylan Detmering, juniors Gavin Paholke and Abby Elder, and seniors Avi Morgan and Tate Wilsey. If you're not familiar, we do have 4 of our students applied for the Hanamaki Hot Springs Sister City delegation and have been selected. And they still have to go on the process of raising money or paying for part of the fee, because they may scholarship part of them, they may scholarship all of it. There's kind of a variety of things that the Hot Springs delegation kind of works with them. But Ann Richardson, Kimmy Mason, Seth Boudreau, and Carly Hare are those 4 students, so they put those applications in. We've had a career fair, we've had reality fair. If you've been up here, I know some of you guys sat in on the reality fair. A lot of great comments on the work that Mr. Green, Ms. Hunter, Ms. Keys, and then Ms. Murphy has put in trying to get these career fairs, making it where it's accessible to the kids, making it real for them. A lot of great comments on the career fair just last week. Of course, tomorrow night, Cobra Expo, and I know Ms. Murphy's listening, so 5 to 7. Make sure you come out, she'll come find you. After that, we do have a powder puff game going, volleyball game on Friday, Joe's versus Pros. Hopefully the proceeds going to Project Prom. Be at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and Mr. Robinson, I know, is sitting there. He can actually give you a little bit more details if you want anything. Once again, juniors taking ACT on the 26th when we come back. Our 4.0 luncheon in Little Rock for our students who've got a 4.0 for the year is the Altrusa. Most important for you guys, May the 10th, graduation. And some of you are waiting on that date and ready to go.
So tomorrow night is the Cobra Expo for middle and high school, both in Safer May? Is it
I
all?
think there's elementary activity.
Yeah, elementary
PE building.
Oh, so it'll be in the PE building,
Yeah.
Even in the middle school.
in the middle school,
And Safer May.
and Safer May.
Safer May.
Okay, because I'm trying to be here, I just wanted to know where it was gonna all be. Okay. 5 to 7
5 to 7
for everybody.
for everybody.
Okay. Ms. Murphy, we got it, 5 to 7. Okay, that's a lot, always busy time for the high school, always. So, no, y'all always have a lot going on over there.
And I did learn that my son will be graduating at 9 a.m. on Saturday morning, so I'll be able to join you guys, travel late, be there to see him graduate Saturday morning. So it'll be good.
Okay, good, good. That worked out good.
Friday night.
Yeah. So you just.
I'm gonna plug one more thing. April the 4th, we do have a guest speaker from NASA coming. And they'll be speaking to all the kids on campus.
Yes,
at a
that's
variety
pretty
of
cool, I
times.
come to that.
That will be.
What's that date again?
April 4th.
April 4th.
And there's going to be a presentation to elementary, middle school, and high school.
Awesome.
Working their way about the totality on that following month.
Okay, when we will not be here.
That's correct.
Okay.
And
Good deal.
everybody else will be coming to our areas in Elizabeth.
Right, we'll see. Thank you, Mr. Janeski. That was a good report. And let's go into our financial review. And we kind of did this some in our
Yeah,
work
we
session,
did
so.
some of that during the work session. we kind of alluded to where our current balances are at, having some generalized discussions around how we may want to open for July 1 based on decisions, whether that be through transfer of funds from Fund 2 to Fund 3, in addition to what we have, whether we don't transfer anything from Fund 2 to Fund 3 based on whether we have surplus or not. There would be flexibility to not make a transfer at all, because you wouldn't exceed the 20% threshold at this point in time based on us having the ability to build the Fund 2 roughly up to about 3.2 million. And we opened the year at 2.6. So everything seems to be running along pretty good. The only thing I would add is all of our principals there, and Hayden, everyone has been looking at current year in depth to see, are we on track? Are we over? Are we under? And we're really working with verbal commitments to, in the approval process, to not go back and amend a line item where there's $3,000 allocated and we need to allocate $3,500.
Right.
But really looking at each division, whether that division be related to special education, transportation, technology, and then monitoring that very closely. And we alluded to the fact that we feel like about 120,000, I think, is what we were. It's in the work session for anyone online that wants to kind of see. Those are estimates, but that's some of the work that we're doing to kind of see what we might have as an end of the year surplus. So this exercise is really, it begins the budgeting process for the upcoming year, thinking about the structure of supplies, materials, curriculum, all of those things that are not relevant to the people, quite frankly, all the employees that work within the district. So we're looking solely at designing that model of supplies and other related items and support, if you will, in that regard. So that's been going on for probably a good 3 weeks. Meeting with each and then having follow-up meetings. Our next step will be to try to solidify those same areas for the next school year. So we'll go ahead and take care of that, and then working in conjunction with the board as it relates to programs, positions. Probably the only flexibility not mentioned in the work session is you currently are funding the high school with 2 counselors, and if you go into the area that you look at all transfers and hires, I've had Tanya go in and denote an amount for every one of those employees, and that does include the fringe benefit along with the salary. So that's the total allocation for that position, and really the only one that we know that we wouldn't be adding back at this point in time we have Mr. Green, it's a part-time National Park employee, works for us. We'll have Mrs. Hensley, who will be serving as the counselor for next year, and this year you have Mrs. Keys, and so next year you will not have that salary. And so the salary and fringes of that position will be removed. It is an extended contract, and that will be a savings, if you will, that was not mentioned during our work session. So I'm sure there might be another thing or two that I might be overlooking, but in a general sense, working, this is kind of twofold. We're ending our federal funds with ESSER. We all know that. And then secondarily, I'm working in conjunction with Mr. Landry to expose him to all elements of the budget and trying to best utilize our time together so he has a strong understanding of budgetary design in that regard. And so our intentional focus here initially has been on the expenditure side, and then we spent a couple days last week working with state aid notices and better understanding the revenue side. So that's kind of where we're at this point in time. Things seem to be running as is, and I do have a note sheet to provide to you that's relevant to personnel as well that I'll pass out at the end of the meeting. But, any questions on finances?
What are we going to be picking up that Esther is picking up now?
So
The
it's
only
a-
obligation of funds that are out there outstanding that we would absorb back into the budget would be lead teachers.
And then a mental health.
The mental health has already been folded in,
Right,
we're
I
trying
don't
to
think
take that out.
The social worker has it.
The social worker is not
No.
Medicare, we're trying to pick some of the mental health back up, we're using some of the restricted Fund 6 money to offset some of those costs. So what we're doing is we're trying to take all of those expenditures back into the regular budget.
Lead teachers, mental health,
Not
So
mental
mental
health.
health has already been.
Social worker.
social worker.
So what I'll do is instead of, look, yeah, it's not on there, we'll do a final draft for you going into next month. I'll make sure Tanya has the ESSER funds on there so you can look specifically at this year, isolate this year. Everything else has already been spent, only look at what we're supporting this year.
Yeah, what
and
we'll have
go
to-
away. And what
We'll
we'll
have to
take
pick
on.
up next year.
What I would tell you, with you asking me that question, my understanding would be our lead teachers that we're using, we're paying them out of mental health, paying them out of ESSER funds in the current year where we're at. And they'll need to come into Fund 2 for next year. Any other questions? All right, we've got a couple other topics here. I'll go ahead and cover the next one. I've got one left here that was kind of handed to me here recently, and I wanted to get it linked in for you to see. And this is Archford lawsuit. So I'm going to give you just kind of a generalized summary. I'm hoping to go to a co-op meeting this Wednesday to learn more about this. Evidently, it's a suit that involves every school district that used Archford services from roughly 2017-18 up through
22, 23?
yes, 22, 23. So a pretty extended period of time, an exhaustive list, very broad. I did reach out and talk specifically to our legal counsel, Cody Keys, as I was seeing everyone onboarding. Cody Keys, Beckwith, Billingsley, and Keys will be representing Archford. And so there'll be no cost to the district. Archford will pay them for legal representation. When you analyze kind of what's the premise behind the suit, each district has an ALE program, and then a district may have a supporting program on campus called a hub that is in addition to, is kind of a credit recovery, a blend, depending on the needs of the students.
We have that.
Yes, and so we've had the hub, and that's why we're in, there's two reasons why we're involved in litigation. One, we had a partnership with Archford for ALE services. So you pop an umbrella, any school district that had a partnership, so you can see Archford was providing a lot of services because there's 62 total districts being sued. In the assumption, if you read into it, is going to allude to the fact that we have either some districts have not provided certified personnel, and by not providing certified personnel, they should not be allowed to have collected the money that they designed into their memorandums. So instead of picking out an individual district, they sued Archford in general, which was every district there within. We met all the compliance measures, and we did draw money on hub students and ALE students because we get roughly $4,600 for an ALE student from a financial perspective. That's that categorical that Mr. Beardsley was alluding to during our conversations. And so even though we might not get foundation funding, we do qualify for that categorical.
Right.
What this suit is alluding to is that if you misrepresented the memorandum and didn't follow it, then you would be required to pay back the revenue that you had received.
This suit's being brought by one parent or
One person?
one person?
It's being brought on by a person to our understanding.
That's what it looks
Okay.
like.
With an individual, an attorney picked it up. And so with that, somewhere within the realm of this, they have to believe either that individual parent felt like the services rendered in their situation did not meet the memorandum of understanding. So that, in that specific instance, wherever that individual parent may have resided, their child could have been receiving services, and that person potentially wasn't certified or something of that nature, but they're suing Arch Ford Co-op, but it covers all districts. So we don't know just exactly the timeline of how this will unfold. And while I'm kind of on that, is there any questions at this point in time? Wanted to tonight bring awareness to you. They will represent all of us collectively together. If we receive a second phone call and they say, hey, it's really about you and not the rest of them, I will let you know. But at this point in time, we've not gotten that call. We're a part of that group solely because we were utilizing them as a third-party contract for those employees to be hired. And if you remember, the reason we engaged in the third-party contract is those individual employees, if they didn't work out and you were the fiscal agent and you hired them, you'd have to put them in a placement in another position or have cause to discontinue employment. And having a third-party contract really did not obligate us or Jessieville to the renewal of those contracts.
So it indicates the plaintiff lives in Faulkner County, so I'm assuming that we are not really the target of the suit. But in that regard, so did we stop using Arch Ford after 22-23, or did Arch Ford get out of that business? What are we now with?
Okay, so that'll kind of carry us over to a
That's
motion
right.
for this evening, but the question is, why did we change services? We were notified that Arch Ford was no longer going to do ALE services outside the boundary of their regional co-op.
Okay.
So originally, they built some really effective ALEs in the Conway area.
Okay.
And they were getting a very high graduation rate, and so they began to replicate that model.
Okay.
As they replicated that model and replicated it, schools that didn't have access to that quality of service design and partnerships reached up and said, hey, will you expand ALE modeling beyond your co-op?
Yeah.
And they did. And so they went south all the way almost, I think El Dorado or some of those schools down in that area are in this system. Yeah. So they went all the way south, and so what ended up happening, their directorship changed. And if you can imagine, as a cooperative, you're bringing money in, you're paying money out. Basically, in this memorandum of understanding that we have with Dawson, we cut them a check, they provide all the services, they do everything.
Which is kind of how we did with Arch Ford.
Yes, so, but the reason we shifted from Arch Ford to Dawson is not because Arch Ford, hey, we smell you're doing something wrong. It was solely because they didn't want to take on that book of business to that magnitude.
And Dawson is now picking
And
up?
Dawson has now picked up our cooperative area.
Okay.
So that change occurred.
This year,
This,
right?
we're using Dawson this year.
This is the first year.
And next year's memorandum will take us into the second.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's
Gotcha.
the why behind the transition. The gentleman that kind of actually was doing a lot of that work overseeing ALEs was employed by Dawson. Todd Lewis is now working for Dawson.
Okay.
And so he's pretty much overseeing schools within our cooperative area now.
Okay.
So, then we will talk a little further about the details of our ALE program in a new business items.
Okay. Awesome. All right, Hayden, you're up.
Yes.
Capital improvements.
I changed the subject a little bit since y'all looked at the capital improvements. Last month I did go back and add the Fund 2, Fund 3, and sometimes we utilize Fund 8 when we're doing cafeteria purchases, so I'm leaving all that in there. Only thing to update you on is that 12 by 12 cafeteria freezer should be arriving, late May. So it's getting built now. This kind of sent us a project timeline photos of it's, getting molded now. I moved the LED sign down to completed items.
Okay.
We've all seen
It
LED
looks
signs
really
so far,
good.
they're not very nice.
Sign looks good.
We're doing a little bit more seating through there just to help cover up that trench, make it look a little bit better.
That 480 that we have in Fund 3 will reduce slightly once you pay out the site, correct?
Slightly, yes. Yeah, we have currently, I think we
Paid half.
We paid half, so we'll the remaining balance.
Okay, so that's the only deduction we'll have to Fund 3 at this point in time, would be the half of the site that we've committed to. Go ahead.
Good.
That was really just about it. I was gonna add, just a reminder, along the bottom, you saw the back on the timeline from 2024 current, going all the way back to 2018. Kind of during the work session, you saw that 118,000 they got carved out, just out of M&O and operations. I thought we're in a very good spot across the board, facilities wise, all the other departments, we're in a very, very decent spot for our age of facilities. Of course, because of the age, we always have higher maintenance, just because of the age. But, I think 118 was a pretty good number to get carved out. I think we can operate good with that going into the next year, just because of the things, you know, if you could walk the campus, there's just no outstanding things that are just there anymore.
Right, right.
So we've done a phenomenal job in the last 7 years on
Yes.
getting to that point. So,
Absolutely.
kind of what Dr. Murphy was alluding to earlier is, you know, we may not be able to do everything, in the next year, 2 years, we said a little bit, so, but all in all, we're in a very good spot.
Good. And I like how you've added Fund 2, 3, or 8 on there.
Yes.
That's
So we
very, very helpful.
We went back and mirrored what we had done in a prior year. We just, in the format, he had so many projects he'd been working on that we didn't move that
Right.
formatting forward. The only thing I would tell you that, you know, we had that Fund 8 money out there. This doesn't take all of it.
No.
Right.
There's two other things that we could put there tentatively for consideration. One of those two, I think, was an oven.
Correct. 2 combi ovens.
And then the other thing in that food service money that we looked at, that we would show you when the dust kind of settles, is a different way to enter and exit that main part of the cafeteria on the side we had our meal on last time. Kind of doing more of a, if you've been in a lot of those places where they have a garage style door opening, where you get a wider presence of an opening, a more open feel to the space, allows for us to have arrange our lines differently,
Yeah.
ease the crowding. We kind of cross over each other on the inside of our,
Yes.
when kids are picking stuff up, they're
Yeah.
kind of moving across to each other. And we have a proposal where we would enter in, we'd come right through the door, come right at that line where the ice machine is
Uh-huh.
at right now and the water dispenser. That'd be your entry point, and then you just roll out with an exit and go right on out. Right now, we kind of cross over, the lines cross over.
Yeah.
But that's a potential expenditure that would be qualifying for Fund 8, the ovens as well. And you do have a balance there that will be required to be diminished
Yeah.
over the next 5-year period of time. I've written them a letter, and so you don't have to spend it all in 1 year. It's not a situation where we're at some tight timeline with July 1. With cafeteria expenses, unfortunately, you're almost bound to really do some serious planning, or you're gonna negatively affect feeding kids in the school year.
Yeah.
And that can be very challenging, especially if you're doing a line modification like that. So, I like the format that you've provided. I
Keep
know
that.
Okay.
that will be
helps us a
beneficial
lot.
to the group, and it'll
Yeah.
also be beneficial for Mr. Landry in transition here as we move forward.
Good deal. All right. Our safety checklist looks good.
You're not very nice.
Yep. It's finally gelling with everybody, like, okay, these are the rules.
Hey, speaking of, your deal, are we mowing, like, are we doing it, are we contract that?
We contract that out. That'd be a good update to add. I did a site walkthrough of 3 other vendors. Our guy who we had, Allegiance Lawn Care, is getting out of the business completely, decided to become a roofer. So, went out and did 3 campus tours and found a dude, very pleased, great track record, Vasquez lawn care, and, same price. So, and that includes
Well, that's like
mowing,
2,200 a month or something?
That's 25.
25?
Yeah, and that includes everything, that's weeding, mowing, all your fertilizers, all your herbicides, that's edging, bush trimming.
No equipment, no
blowing,
gas?
That's including gas, their equipment, so.
And it's
phenomenal
only a
price.
seasonal employment or year-round?
That's a
That's
year-round
year-round,
contract.
yeah.
Because you don't mow year-round.
Oh, no, but I mean, just for your leaf blowing gets pretty intense.
That's a monthly contract year round.
Yes.
Correct.
And so it's spreading it out where, the reason that becomes conducive to some landscaping guys or mowing guys is it gives them a place, they'll bid that pretty aggressive to do your heavy lift in the summertime, but it gives them some money in the off-season. That's why it comes in a little cheaper for the amount of acres that we mow,
Okay.
when you really think about the grounds.
Yeah, really a phenomenal price for what they're providing.
But we cut them a check, 2,500 a month, 12 months out of the year, so that
Right.
gives them some money in the wintertime.
And SSC does the football field, right?
Correct. Yeah, they do the field, that's the only spot I do not take Vasquez is to the field and the track. Everything surrounding the whole thing is, they do the whole campus. Yeah, SSC does just the field.
How many times do they show up, like peak?
SSC, you're talking about our grounds crew.
Grounds, this new
Well,
ground.
How often they mow?
They just started, and we've been out for about almost a month with no one on campus.
Really?
So they just came yesterday, Sunday for the first time. So, they're bringing a crew versus one dude. So I don't know the stats just yet. I know they knocked the whole campus out on a full Saturday and about 3 hours of Sunday, running like four guys. So I'll know here in about a month, kind of a good routine for them.
Okay.
Any other questions for Character Support Services?
Okay, Mr. Campbell, we're gonna turn it over to you.
Sure, I just wanted to update you, we did have our desegregation settlement lawsuit court appearance. We were in court last week ago Monday.
Yep.
And, it's now in the judge's hands, we'll see where it falls out. That was another first for me, I'd never testified in federal court before, but I got that opportunity. And in saying that, one of the concerns and one of the directions we're attempting to work is to appeal to the Pan-Hellenic councils of all of Arkansas colleges and universities, which is made up of the Divine Nine, which is the historically predominantly African-American fraternities and sororities, in an attempt to increase our applicant pool among minorities, because that is a concern. Wanted to share that with you, and then the other document, I shared this in an email a couple of weeks ago about the rules changing at the end of the Super Bowl, and this is the draft accountability framework. It's interesting, some of the highlights. I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but here's one of the highlights. This draft framework last summer and fall into the winter. We'll give these tests this spring. We'll get these test results in the summer. Here's where they'll figure out how to make the scale for the A's through F's based on these test scores, and they'll revise those test scores. And so it won't be until the spring, by April 15th of 2025, that we get the 23-24 report card. Okay, so when you're thinking about when you're gonna get your report card, what's your report card grade? Well, it's gonna be
After the fact.
next April. So that's
Before you get the report card.
Yeah,
before you
you
get
can't
the
even-
report.
Before we get one at all.
Yeah.
Before you get to the next.
The next one won't be out until next April. So I wanted you to know that. And then if you look down through here on your, on your own time, because I know you really like to do this sort of thing, you can see here, this is what the accountability formula looks like for K-8. Currently is the top line, so you have weighted achievement, weighted growth, or ELA growth, math weighted achievement, math growth, and then the SQSS, which is the school quality student success. And what the proposed formula will be achievement growth, and you see there now, so we're at 50% based on growth, 40% will be based on achievement, and then 5 and 5 on science achievement growth. So 55% of the K-8 formula, the K-8 report card will be based on student growth. So I wanted to point that out to you. When we look at those scales and scores from our buildings, and we talk about growth, we see now that it's gonna be 55%. You notice the SQSS goes away in this new formula, and that was like attendance and that sort of thing. And it tells you in there that you're gonna be able to earn badges for the SQSS category. So you could, I guess, get a student attendance badge for your building along with your report card grade.
It's like the Boy Scouts.
Yeah. So that's where that's coming. And then down a little further, here this is the same description for 9 through 12. And you see how it is on the top, and then down here on the bottom, you see there that it's achievement and growth, and then this post-secondary readiness, and that's gonna be, I don't remember off the top of my head, I didn't look at it, what exactly it is. I believe that's ACT score is basically what that's gonna be, and then graduation rate gets dropped down to 10%. But again, you lose your SQSS, or science is split out here as part of it now. But again, the badges will be a part of that, so.
Probably, in a general sense of that, there's post-secondary readiness and career awareness, there's shifting right now that you just don't get anything in the context of the work that you do in that area. It's very difficult to measure.
Yeah.
But you can see an attempt to change a little bit more of a reward to putting kids to work, and that's not a terrible thing in the context of secondary
Right.
reporting, because you've got so many things in that high school reporting, whether that be graduation rate, dropout rate, some of the old metrics that were used for many, many years.
Yeah.
And this is proposed, and it could be totally
Could change.
different, but it is
Yeah.
very likely that because of the transition to the Atlas testing, that it'll be April of next year before we get report cards for it. I feel like that's very solid.
Yeah, so we're not going,
Yeah.
That's why
That's
it
okay.
takes so long.
but we'll have our in-house assessments that we do, and we'll be able to see
Yes.
how our students are trending in their performance.
We will, the concern I want to make sure you recognize is that we're going to be getting a growth score next April based on this spring's testing compared to last spring's testing, which would have been on the ACT Aspire. So it's not gonna be that you're comparing
Yeah.
test scores from the same test.
Right.
But we're going to get a growth score that compares those two.
Yeah.
Right.
So just keep that in mind.
We'll sit tight and wait on
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
All right. And that's what I had for you this evening.
Thank you. No public comment. Any board member comments? All right.
No public comment.
Okay. Brian, I think we have one item of new business.
Motion to approve 2024-2025 Dawson non-traditional programs, ALE, MOU.
Okay.
Well, just kind of, at one point in time, I've taken, I think about all board members have had an opportunity to tour the facility. Facility is housed in partnership with Jessieville at what is the Boys and Girls Club. So that's the location where we're talking about. Separate from the contracted service agreement, we do have a facilities agreement in which we share taking care of that building up there. So we're co-owners of the building with Jessieville, and then we also have the Boys and Girls Club pay a portion of the maintenance of that facility. So in general, what is the program that is up there? Probably the one thing that has driven the cost up, the traditional program design when we were at Arch Ford, we had 3 teachers and a director. There was a period of time with Arch Ford when it was a little bit cheaper that we chose to share a director among 3 or 4 different locations. So there was days when you have a shared director that they may be at Benton and not at us. And that left the 3 teachers to take care of shop. We didn't feel comfortable based on sometimes periodic volatility in the center or student needs, quite frankly, whether that be behavioral, medical, just individual at times. Through the program, whether it was Arch Ford or Dawson, we did have a direct connection with mental health external agencies as part of the program design. So we have those individuals. The last few years, we've paid for a full-time director. Dr. Mary Smith has been the full-time director at the ALE. Upon the day that, we went up over a week ago, Mr. Landry and I did, and went up and met with Jessieville and Todd Lewis, who represents Dawson in terms of program design, and so we agreed with Jessieville that we'd have 3 teachers and a behavioral specialist, which we have a behavioral specialist this year, and a director that oversees the program and assists with individual students. So you basically have 5 employees in that center being shared employees between Fountain Lake and Jessieville. Now, when you look down the memorandum, it kind of goes half, 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 half. So you basically, if you've got your ratio that you see there, we kind of try to share those equally. Because of our school size versus Jessieville's school size, we have more kids up there than Jessieville does. Right. So we're over our half. If, in theory, we exceeded the ratio, we could use the behavioral specialist, or we could go back and agree to hire an aide, and whoever is forcing us beyond those numbers proportionally would pay for the additional staffing versus having to go out and hire another teacher. It's kind of the same concept when you look at student to teacher ratios at a kindergarten or a certain grade level. You can go up to a threshold and then you've got to add additional staffing. ALE is the same way. Okay. So that's kind of where those student counts typically will run. I've been up there and helped. We're doing some partnership programming where our morning Rotary is going up there and serving the students 1 day a month, and just making them feel, we offer our lunch, Jessieville offers their lunch, we're making them feel special. So I've seen several of those individual students at different times. We observed some not so positive interactions the day that we went. We were going there in the afternoon after lunch, and so there was a behavioral outburst that occurred in the middle school setting, and we had all students removed from the classroom, separating one student who remained in the classroom. There was intervention with the behavioral specialist, a mental health counselor, and then ultimately Dr. Smith. And so the teacher separated. Mr. Lander and I stepped in and ensured that the student remained isolated in the classroom with those employees. We did have the school resource officer come out and check in, so anytime that you do have that level of volatility, resource officer is contacted. If Jessieville is on campus, they will come first because they are much closer response time. But that gives you an example of, you know, not every day is like that, but it does occur. Students are, if you will, suspended at different times from the program. The other piece that we get with this program is a unit called Connect Care. Connect Care provides a virtual option of learning. There have been different times where, based on an expulsion length of this board, we might use a digital option. And so we have the latitude to use that up to the threshold of the number of students in the program. Then if we exceed the total number of students in the program, they do have a per cost allocation where we could pay and obtain that service for a virtual student outside the boundary of that may not even be at ALE, but they could provide that as an additional service as part of our membership. With it, we will take, upon approval of this, and it would go before the state board. It's a memorandum of understanding. We also put into it this time, Mr. Landry, a flex scheduling piece. Not to say that we would use that, but it could be where you have a student that is in attendance a block of days, or they're working a few days a week and attending school a few days a week. So you could, with the flex scheduling piece, you could actually serve more students. You just on a daily basis couldn't exceed the 15-to-1.
Right.
But having the flex piece would allow us to actually serve even more students if we so chose. And we're writing it in with no true cost obligation. It just gives us additional flexibility if we choose to use it.
Okay.
And here again, as a final statement, there is a protocol upon entry. We try to have an intake in terms of having the families involved, all these different entities involved, principals, recommendation, and then we do the exact same thing if we're bringing a student back on campus.
Mm-hmm.
So we have kind of an exit process or an entry process. It's just Mr. Freeman has a bad day with a kid, he loads them up, drops them off at ALE. That's not how it works. So we have a process. And some people do believe that we can just take a kid up there if things aren't going well. So doesn't mean that we can't take one up there. We just have an entrance form and process that we go through.
Okay.
Is there anything else that you guys would want to learn about this contracted service program?
And how does it compare to Arch Ford, like month, I mean, budget wise? Is there like demo?
You know,
I don't know what we were
right.
paying.
It's relatively comparable. It's went up. He said the difference between the two, because this is without any salary raises or anything, that the only cost, we've just added the behavioral specialists. So that narrative, we're splitting the behavioral specialists. Before, we didn't have the behavioral specialists. So comparatively, your salaries at Arch Ford, your salaries in the other co-op at Dawson are relatively similar. Personnel, actually, the director didn't change, but we did hire some new teachers, Mr. Campbell, when we did the transition from Arch Ford over to Dawson.
Are these teachers employees at Dawson?
They are an employee of Dawson.
Right, so they're.
Yes.
And that's covered in our fees.
Yeah.
Other questions? Two more? Okay. All right, so we have a motion to approve the 24-25 Dawson non-traditional programs, ALE, memorandum of understanding. All in favor say aye. Aye. None opposed, that motion is approved 5-0. We have, go ahead with our personnel motion.
Motion to accept the resignation from personnel below for correlating positions. Cassidy Bailey, District 8, effective 3/8/24. Suzanne Seaman, special education teacher, effective the end of 23-24 school year.
Okay, if there are any questions or we need to discuss, we will go into executive session. Are there any questions? All right, the motion is to accept a resignation from the personnel below for the correlating positions. Cassidy Bailey, District 8, effective 3/8/24, and Suzanne Seaman, special education teacher, effective the end of the 23-24 school year. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
None opposed, that motion is approved 5-0. And you can go, you wanna?
I've got one other comment, unless
Okay.
you have a question.
No, no, no.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
The comment that I would make is in relation to your resignations, your master list.
Mhm.
You go in there's some highlighted areas within your master list that are not a component of resignation. There's two different situations in there. One of them, we are going to be advertising for an offensive coordinator for football, and so there's no resignation associated with that, but we're gonna be advertising for a new person. I met with the current employee today, and we're looking at, that person's still on staff, still gonna be a part of the football program, they're just not gonna be the offensive coordinator. The other situation that you need to be aware of, beyond us advertising for an offensive coordinator without a resignation, is assistant basketball coach. That position is going to be vacated due to a lack of certification. And so in that given instance, we'll be advertising that position tomorrow as well.
Okay.
So those are not direct correlations of resignations, but you need to be aware of both situations because we'll be advertising here before. We feel it's in the best interest of the district to advertise before spring break to get the best qualified applicant pool.
And I see that the elementary media specialist, you'll be advertising for that.
Yes, yes.
Okay. All
You
right.
sending that separate?
Excuse me?
It's
No,
on
it's
there.
in that
Look in
link
your-
on
right
the
above
top,
those,
on your
in the
notes.
notes, in the notes.
It's right under personnel.
All right.
Look for that link.
All right, any other comments, questions, concerns? If not, our meeting is adjourned.